Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. I was talking earlier about the opioid crisis, and I have a couple of quick questions. Why was the opioid crisis not part of Obama's health care overhaul? If he took it seriously, why didn't he do something about it then? It was a crisis the entire time he was there. Opioid usage leads to heroin usage eventually. All this free love by the way of narcotics has gotten a generation of kids hooked on opioids who then become heroin addicts. And let me tell you something. Metaphorically, you couldn't have a better scenario that represents government. Government gets you hooked on something that it tells you you're okay to get, and then it gets you on an illegal something and charts you down a death spiral where you end up a zombie. That's exactly what the left has done. You couldn't ask for a better metaphor, and nor could you ask for a better scenario where a guy like Donald Trump says, we're going to address this, we're going to put an end to this and stop this spiral and get people back to where what happens when you no longer are drug addicted and you're out of your mind. You want to know what happens? You start thinking about yourself. You start gaining self-esteem. You get your regular person back. You're no longer a product of a chemical. And then you go and repair relationships. And as you repair those relationships, you do what? You strengthen your family and your friendships. And that's what makes you a productive member of society. This is all related back to the core of who we are. Nobody grows up and says, I want to get addicted on painkillers and do blankety blank. They don't do that. The pharmaceutical industry knows these products are too addictive. Look, I'm not blaming them. They're trying to come out with good products. But the Food and Drug Administration is allowing these guys to create products that create a hunger for the product. And that hunger for the product leads to these devastating effects. And Barack Obama, after passing the most extensive health care thing in the nation, doesn't address it. And then later in his tenure, he decides, well, let's start doing something about it. Good for you. It should have been a priority. Family, the pursuit of happiness, how people live is a priority in this nation. If you're the commander in chief, it wasn't for him. Anyway, I digress. I want to talk about all these other. Believe me, folks, I've looked back on Hillary Clinton and during the campaign and said, what could they be thinking when all these investigations were going on with their emails? And they had some bad weeks, as you guys recall. This is undoubtedly the worst time for the Democrats in modern history. In modern history, it could not be any worse. These people are struggling. And let me tell you something. If you expect an iota, what did Barack Obama say? There's not a smidgen. If you expect a smidgen of sympathy from me for these clowns, it is not coming. And what's funny is it's not just the Democrats who were complicit in this. In fact, all of the opposition research, we know where it started. Judge Jeanine hosted a Hannity show the other day, and here's what she had to say about it.
This week, major developments in several Democrat scandals, including the controversial Uranium One deal. And tonight, breaking news about the anti-Trump dossier. Byron York, who joins us in just a minute, is reporting that the conservative website, the Washington Free Beacon, funded the original Fusion GPS research into Donald Trump. According to York, Fusion GPS was also looking into other Republican presidential candidates.
Welcome back. So the key thing here, folks, this is the Kevin Jackson Show. That's not the key thing, by the way. The key to this, and I believe Byron York went on to talk about this subject with Judge Jeanine, but here's the key. It was a conservative group, and I keep telling you guys, the people like Newsmax, Washington Examiner, they're not conservative. They're not. They're establishment Republican, which is effectively Rhino, which for all intents and purposes is Democrat-like. These are people that do not have our best interests in mind. They are there to craft the rhino message. And when I talk about the rhino message, don't rule yourselves out, conservatives. Many times you guys will come up to me. Well, I'll give you an example. I talked to a guy last night who's running for Senate. He called me up. Kevin, I'm not the establishment candidate, and, people are going to be going against me, and I'd really like to get your support. Now, I want to earn it, and I want to start by talking about the black community, and I believe that Donald Trump has gotten it wrong in the black community. And I was like, and I listened to him for a couple minutes, and then finally I said, you're completely off base. I said, man, first of all, if you think you're going to get my support with that position, you are out of your mind. Well, Kevin, you got to understand about black. And I will admit, I don't know anything about blacks, and I've never been black. And he goes, and I'm like, I've never been white. And I know about the white condition because, see, you're already off base. It's the human condition. And you're already separating it into colors. Now you got a problem. And then you want to tell me that Trump is fueling this, the issues, the divide. I'm like, that's absolute nonsense. Media is fueling the divide, and you just told me you don't know jack about politics, and you want me to help you? So I spent about 7 minutes explaining things to him, and he's like, well, you're right. I get it. Yeah, but do you get it? Do you really get it? Or are you just kind of going, well, I get it for now. Or I get it because I want your endorsement. The conversation made me mad is what it did. And so now you've got those are the types that he says, well, Kevin, I don't know anything about black people. Really? So what, you don't know anything about being a human? Well, what exactly do you think is the difference between you and me? You think that there's a kid in the world that didn't grow up like me that's got different skin color? It's ridiculous. And that's what makes me mad about these idiots is they can't understand that the true conservative nature of people is to think of people as human beings in certain circumstances. Can I be living a type of lifestyle that is credited to blacks from a cultural standpoint? Yes, but there are white people doing that. There are white dudes that are technically, and I'll use my finger quotes, more black in terms of culturalization, living in the hood, rapping and all that. Eminem's more black than I am in that respect, but he ain't more black than me in my DNA. That's for sure. So it bugs me when these guys talk like this because it's just silly. Oh my goodness. So we've got the opposition coming from Republicans. These were people who targeted Donald Trump. Look, do we need to rehash it? They didn't like him. He's not establishment. So they went out to get him. And the Washington Free Beacon issued a thing that says, look, we may have looked for opposition research, but we in no way had anything to do with this Russian dossier. Okay, fine, Washington Free Beacon. If that's going to help, I'm sorry, it's the Washington Examiner. It's the Washington Examiner, not the Free Beacon. So the Washington Examiner says, we had nothing to do with the Russian dossier. Okay, fine. But you had something to do with trying to upend Donald Trump. Now, all is forgiven in the sense that it was during, because for the record, they did opposition Republican research on other candidates too. But that was the beginning. That was the nexus of everything that we're talking about at this point. And then we get into what happened. Right? So I want to talk about what's going on now. Because the left know they are in huge trouble, not big trouble, huge trouble. And the number of people that are going to be caught up in this web is amazing. So what are they doing? They're starting to downplay. They're starting to downplay it. And I want to focus on some of the things that they're going to use to sort of say, well, this is no big deal. That didn't fit here and there. But Jonathan Turley talked about why this is a big deal. Do we have time for this clip? No, then let's do the Sarah Sanders on it, okay?
I think all along that the accusations was a huge hoax, as we like to refer to it here at the White House, one of the greatest political witch hunts of all time. I think this further proves if there was anyone that was colluding with the Russians to influence the election, look no further than the Clintons, look no further than the DNC. This is hypocrisy at its highest level, and I think it may be a new low in American politics. Everything that the Clinton campaign and the DNC were falsely accusing this president of doing over the past year, they were actually doing themselves, it turns out, and I think that this is a major scandal for the Democrats.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody. So Sarah Sanders, spokesperson, White House spokesperson, is obviously right about this. Heads are going to roll. We're going to spend a lot of time today talking about this, and I got it. As I said, there's not been so much media involving this where the left is even beginning to go, uh-oh. I'm talking about New York Times, Washington Post, etc. Short break. We'll be back. Keep it here, folks. Kevin Jackson Show.
Kevin Jackson
on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.